Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live show today. If you're just coming in, do let me know in the chat. We are excited to have you as usual. And we're going to be here for 1 hour. We try to keep our live show on time because I respect people's time and I want us to have the best of the experience within a limited period of time. So it's going to be packed. So as you come into the show, please let me know your name and where you're joining from so I can shout out to you. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon, my end. I know those joining us from Nigeria, whether Africa, whether Ghana or Nigeria, is towards evening. I think it's maybe 7 p.m. in Ghana or 9 p.m. I don't know the difference. I know there's a 1 hour difference, but I know it's 8 p.m. in Nigeria. So as you come into the live show, let me know where you are joining from. I'm so excited about the topic that we have today. Talking about the future of work, of course, you know things have changed. You don't need anybody to tell you that the times have changed. And now, with the whole surge of AI, if you're not equipping yourself to know what the hiring managers are looking for, you would always find yourself struggling. You always find yourself wondering why you are not you're not achieving what you want to achieve. Endurance, thank you for being the first person. I like your name. That's good. You're the first person joining us from Nigeria. Thank you. Thank you for making it clear to me that I'm not talking to myself. Most of the time, when you start the live show and you start talking, and there's that thing in your head that tells you, are you sure people can hear me? Are you sure they can hear what I'm saying? So maybe I'm just talking to myself. And then once people start popping into the comments, then you know you're having a conversation. I'm so excited about the guest we have today. She's really someone who is well experienced in human resources, does a lot of work in helping people with best practices on how they can find a job. So I cannot wait to bring her on stage. But I want to see the people who are coming into the room. Please let me know that you are here. Let me know where you are joining from. Let me know what you're trying to get out of this experience. Endurance says she's super excited. Yes, I'm always excited, but my excitement is even on a higher level today. So let me know what you're hoping to get out of this. I see Frank. Frank is here. He says, good evening from Lagos, Nigeria. Good evening to you, Frank. Thank you for joining us today. Let me know the one thing you're hoping to get out of this session today. And then something else you're going to do for me. Please help me to share out this event. Help us to repost. Today is Saturday. There could be people who are just on LinkedIn scrolling. They don't know what to do with their time. And then suddenly they see you repost or they see something like, okay, maybe that's a conversation I'm going to get something from. So help us repost so that more people can come into the room to have a conversation. Today, my co-host, my dear co-host, Dr. Augusta, is not here because she's not feeling too well. So, but I have you covered, right? I may not be able to do the beautiful summaries she does, but I'm going to do my best to summarize for us the beautiful things that our guest speaker will be sharing with us today. So welcome. LinkedIn user, I don't see your name. It says LinkedIn user. You're joining from Scotland. Oh, wow. I'm so excited. What is your name? I don't know why your name is not showing, but thank you for joining us from Scotland. And what time is it in Scotland, right? I'm really curious. What time is it in Scotland? And then we have Peter from Kenya. Good. Same question to you, Peter. What time is it in Kenya? I'm really trying to get to know my map and the differences in the time. So let me know the time in Scotland. Let me know the time in Kenya, and you would have taught me something amazing today. You would have taught me something I don't know. Thank you so much for coming into the show. We are going to get started immediately. First and foremost, let me introduce myself for those of you who may not know me. I believe that most of the time, the people who come into our show, maybe they know me to an extent, right? Maybe you've seen my posts, maybe you've read about me from someone, or maybe you've heard my story. So I'm going to just keep the introduction really brief. My name is Dr. Amaka Ifeduba, and I'm the founder and lead coach of Scholar of Mentoring Academy. You can see my backdrop, Scholar of Mentoring Academy. And you may be wondering, what is Scholar of? What do we do at Scholar of? We do two main things. But before I go into that, let me still give a shout out to some of the amazing people that are joining in. Samuel says he's joining from Nigeria and he wants to learn how to stay relevant in the job market. That is an important lesson for every young person today. So many people who are at the tail end of their career, who are probably retiring in a few years. Recently, someone told me, she said, I'm grateful to God that before all of this AI craziness, I'm already wrapping up. You know, she's retiring in 2 years and she's so happy that she doesn't have to deal with it. But for some of us, we don't have that luxury. Maybe we are just starting our lives. We are just starting our careers. So we cannot afford to not be informed. We cannot afford to not know the best practices. So thank you so much for coming in, Samuel. And my Biranke of the Most High is here. My Biranke, to have her in the room. She's a busy BO. She's very busy. She has so many things doing, but she's always coming to support us. Thank you so much for joining us from Lagos, ma. I'm always excited when I see you. Thank you for all the beautiful work you're doing with mindful parenting and all those amazing things that you do. Thank you for coming. And then Peter says it's 10 p.m. in Kenya. Oh, wow. Okay, so Kenya is hours ahead of Nigeria. Okay, nice. Now I know. I didn't know that before. But thank you for being awake. It's 10 p.m. Usually I go to sleep at 10. So for you to be awake and be here, that makes me very happy. We are honored to have you. Okay, I was saying at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we do two major things, right? So two major things, and then we have events around these two major things that we do. The first one is personal branding coaching for busy professionals, right? People who are busy, people who are career professionals or entrepreneurs, or people who are trying to understand, how do I leverage the online space, especially LinkedIn? We know how it is now that in this age and time, it's not the most successful people. It's not the smartest people sometimes that become the most successful. It's not the most hardworking people that become the most successful most times. Most times it is people who know how to position themselves. It's people who understand how to stay connected, people who understand the value of being visible to the right audience. So that is what we teach in our LinkedIn Elevation program and one-on-one programs. And these programs are tailored mainly for busy professionals or entrepreneurs who are trying to understand how to navigate LinkedIn. And currently we are just wrapping up the first week of cohort 15. My Biranke, can you believe that it's cohort 15 already? I think my Biranke was in cohort 7 for the first time. If I'm not mistaken, I think she was in our cohort in cohort 7. And now it's 8 months down the line, we are in cohort 15. So our programs is every month, 21 days. The first week of every month we finish at 21 days, we take a 1 week break, and then we start the next cohort. So you can find out more about that, from me after this program. And then the second thing we do at Scholar Up is graduate mentoring, right? I got my PhD from the US. I graduated. Usually I say I just graduated, but I did not just graduate. I graduated in December. So now is September. So I graduated. I got my PhD in December of last year. So because of that, because of my experiences and the work that I do, I love to help other people who are trying to toe the same path. People who are trying to find their path, understand the whole funding journey, understand how they can get fully funded scholarship to come to the US or to come to North America. My recent student my recent mentee actually got fully funded scholarship in Canada. She got an admission in Canada for her grad school. Because Canada and US, the processes is quite similar. So we help through the review process, help you to review your applications. And I actually do a morning show with my mentees every Saturday. I started that like 4 weeks ago. So it's like 1 hour every Saturday morning for me when I wake up. So I just have that morning show on YouTube to answer their questions. It's just Q&A about US grad school. So that is what we do at Scholar Up. And of course, we have our events. We have the big one that is coming in November. If you've not signed up for Scholar Up Global Conference, my Biranke, please put our website in the chat. Since you are here, you should be an ambassador. My Biranke is on the board of Scholar Up, so she's an ambassador of Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. So put our website on the chat so that those who have not reserved their spots for our upcoming global conference, which is coming up in November 22nd and 23rd, can use this opportunity to sign up for the conference. So that's that about me. So before I bring in our guest, I'll play a 1-minute video and we can get this show on the road.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifaduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, so that is Scholar Up Mentoring Academy in brief. I see more people have come into the room while that was going on. Yep, let's see. We have Florence says she's joining us from Malawi. Okay, what time is it in Malawi? Florence, what time is it? Now I'm learning about time today. Someone says it's 10 p.m. in Kenya. My Biranke said she was in cohort 7 and 9. Yes, I remember 7. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for being here. And Coach Bobby, we had the honor of having Coach Bobby as our guest last week to talk about AI. Thank you so much for showing up, sir. It's good to have you here. Patricia says, good evening to everyone. Where are you joining us from, Patricia? I know, are you in the UK? I think you're in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm trying to find out where people are joining from. We have Solomon joining us from Nigeria. And then we have Okafor Chukwuka Anslem. He's also joining us from Nigeria. Thank you all so much for being here. Now it's time to get this show on the road. Thank you so much, Frank. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to bring in our guest speaker for today. She is Mary. She's actually my namesake, right? Whenever you hear me say namesake. Your face is not full on the screen. Okay, yeah, better. Okay. So she's actually, a lot of people don't know my name is Mary, right? My middle name is Mary. Mary Rose, actually. So the full name is Mary Rose. So Mary she's a seasoned human resources professional with over 7 years of corporate experience. That's a lot of experience. That's someone we want to listen to. So as an expert HR and career coach, Ms. Dadzie has collaborated with business leaders, job seekers, and entrepreneurs to empower them to excel. Through LinkedIn and other platforms, she's dedicated to mentoring professionals, delivering insightful career strategies, and fostering personal and professional growth. In addition to professional achievements, Ms. Dadzie is a sought-after speaker and has participated in notable events across Ghana, Nigeria, US, India, and other international platforms, addressing numerous themes. She leverages innovative strategies to engage, educate, and inspire others. I can go on, but it's such a pleasure to have you here. And we are so happy that you agreed to take time out of your busy schedule to come and just share with us in this hour. The future of work, things have changed. That's the honest. It's only a naive person that would say even 2023 is the same as 2025. This 2025, the AI buzz has gone to a different level compared to just even last year, right? I remember I started my PhD in 2022, and even as of 2022, we were not relying on ChatGPT to write anything. When I was preparing to get into grad school, we literally wrote all our essays, and it was not a thing then. And just a couple of years down the line, it's just as though the AI has taken over our lives, and we have to figure out a way to really be well adapted. And that's why I invited you today, because I know you have transitioned through the time, right? You've been in HR for a while, you've been helping people for some time, and I want to know what is the direction that people are going. So to start our conversation, the first question I have for you today, in today's job market, right? Today's job market is really tough, even here in the US. The job market is quite tough. What separates those who get hired quickly from those who keep struggling, even though all of them have strong qualifications? Because most of the time you realize that when people are looking for a job, the person that gets hired quickly, the person that takes 6 months or 1 year, sometimes they have the same qualification, or the person who is even being delayed may even have better qualifications. So what are some of those skills, or what are some of those things that makes that distinction? I think this is a great way to start our conversation. Welcome on board, my dear namesake.
Maka, I hope I can be heard.
Can you hear her? Let us know in the chat. I hear you, but you may need to project your voice Don't mind me, I have a very loud voice, but still try to project your voice. But I hear you, but they will tell us in the chat if they can't hear you.
I can be seen because the network has not been too good here. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amaka, for the invitation. Okay, so to start with our conversation, right? There are two categories of people: those who easily get hired and those who have to go through a lot. They find it very.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Please, can anybody hear me?
I heard you a bit and then you went quiet. I can hear you now. I don't know. It's like your network is breaking in and out. Yeah. Just go ahead.
It's still raining here actually. So, okay.
Okay.
So, like, there are two categories of people, right? Those who easily get hired and those who have to go through a lot of struggles before these people can be hired. Now, what I would say concerning that question is just one thing. It is about, so for those who get hired, right, it's about those who are ready to put in the work. And when I say put in the work, what do I mean? Is to be visible, okay? Because there are millions of people in this earth or in the world, okay? But if an employer or a business owner is saying that I am going to hire um maybe Amaka, it means that he or she has seen something about Amaka. That is why that employer wants to employ Amaka. Now, if you want to get hired, it is about how you let the world perceive who you are. Okay, it's all about perception. Now, we always say that if you are not visible, people will help you to be visible. And nobody, in this world will want people to be in any space that you find yourself in. You have to ensure that you are being visible. Don't want people to by your actions. All right. For example, if you are in a workspace visible and you don't make noise, quotes, right? Make noise about the things that you are doing. People are going to talk for you, and nobody is ready to say the things that will help you. You are the one who is going to help yourself. Okay, you are your best cheerleader, so you should talk about those things. So it's all about visibility and how you want people to know you, the perception of people about you. So that's what I would say about that question. That's what differentiates those who get hired and those who struggle in the world of work.
Okay, I think my next follow-up question is kind of what are some of the mistakes with all the professionals you've been working with? What are some of the most common mistakes that people make when they're trying to stay relevant in their career? And how are they going to correct these mistakes?
Okay. So I'll talk about two mistakes, right? So the first one has to do with complacency, and the second one has to do with people leaving their development or professional development into the hands of their employer. I'm going to give an example. First of all, if I say complacency, there are people who are very much okay with what they are doing now, with where they are. For example, when people are in school, right, it's all about the course that they are undertaking. You know, they are not able to think outside the box. After these certificates that I'm learning to achieve, what else can I do for myself? What are some of the things that I can learn? What are some of the internship opportunities that I can take? All of these things makes those people very, very comfortable, and they think that, oh, okay, I'm fine. I don't think I need any other thing, right? And when you bring it to the field of work, when somebody is complacent in their field or in what they are doing, these people are very much okay. Like when you come to their workspace, they are fine. They are not motivated to take up tasks that are very challenging, to make them step outside their comfort zone. So that is what makes some of these people make that mistake. Of course, if you are always very much okay with what you're doing, and you don't have that sort of mindset, okay, to take up challenging tasks, everybody would go like you are just like an ordinary person, right? So that's the first mistake people do. Now, with the second one, that also happens when people are. So let me give a particular example. So I've worked with some people where, at a point, if the employer does not say that we have this sort of training scheduled for you to take up this particular date, they are very okay. In fact, they can go the entire year without any training, and they're okay. Now, if you are a professional, do not leave your professional development or your career development into the hands of your employer, because honestly, for the employer, what they want to do is to cut costs, right? They want to cut costs, and training comes with some sort of cost. Okay, so if you're going to leave it in their hands, they would want to cut costs and make profit. But what you have to understand is that if you are able to develop yourself, it is for you. If you are going out of the workspace today, or you are going to resign today, you are moving with that skill. You are moving with that training that you got for yourself. And so, if you are a professional, or anybody listening to me, do not leave your professional development or your career development into the hands of your employer. Take it as something that is personal, something that, regardless of anywhere that you go or what you do, you are taking it with you. So that's sort of mindset that I want people to have. Don't make that mistake, but take it as your personal thing, right? So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's a very important conversation, right? That's that. In fact, I think you raised two very critical points, which is complacency, and it's that idea of I'm okay where I am, and that is how a lot of professionals eventually lose relevance, because you start your career and like you said, oh, I have all of these degrees, I have all these shiny certificates. There's no need to do more. Now I got a job and I'm ready. I'm good to go. I don't need to keep working on improving my skills, and that's how people stay stuck. And I think the second one is something that is so important, which is forgetting the fact that your personal development is your responsibility. I think that's very critical for people to. That's something I always say over and over. I tell the people I'm mentoring, nothing moves unless you do. Nobody is going to care about your career as much as you should care about it. And if you leave your career to the hands of somebody else, it's just as though you're just playing a game of chance or a game of luck. So thank you so much for raising those two important points. And thank you, my Bironke, for sharing the website. So we have the website in the chat. We have a global conference that is upcoming in November 22nd and 23rd. If you've not reserved your spot, please save the website and make sure you do, right? Make sure you do. We have something big is really, really coming. So make sure you take that advantage. Thank you for putting that in the chat. And if you're just coming in, kindly let me know where you're joining from. Repost the event so that more people can join in to be a part of this conversation we are having today. Conversations like this, most of the time, you realize that people would think, oh, wow, this does not concern me. But these are the simple things that makes a difference between those who get hired, immediately they lose their job, and those who stay stuck and in 6 months they keep looking, or those who don't even have career progression. So it's very, very important. So Mr. Frank is introducing himself in the chat. He said, I want to support your work. My AI agency will design AI-powered portfolio with Q&A chatbots for free for 10 of your students or job seekers. Okay, thank you. We can talk about that later, and I would understand. I would not say I understand clearly what you have said, but I appreciate the mindset. I appreciate the heart. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming here. And then we have Elizabeth. Dr. Elizabeth is joining us from Ghana. Thank you so much for being here. Mary, where are your Ghanaian brothers and sisters? At least one is here, right? Yeah, one of them is here. Dr. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you for coming. Okay, now I want us to get a bit practical, right? I want practical solutions so that somebody here who is in this who is listening to us and who is feeling stuck in their career, they feel like I don't know what next step to take. I don't know what to take. As a professional, what would be the practical step you tell somebody who is feeling stuck? Like this is what you need to start doing from today. This is what you need to start doing from tomorrow morning. Don't wait. But these are the practical ABC step. You're feeling stuck. This is how you kind of unstuck yourself. What would be your advice?
Okay. So personally, the advice I'll give to anybody who feels stuck in their career or in anything that they are doing is first of all to know where you're going. If you have a plan in mind, all right, and yes, you have a goal, you have a plan. Now, how do you achieve that goal? You can only achieve that if you have a roadmap. Okay, and you can have a roadmap for your life when you have done a self audit for yourself. So, for example, if you want to be, let's say you have a plan in the next 5 years, you want you have set something for yourself that in the next 5 years, that is who I want to be, this is who I want to become. What you have to do is to sit down. Okay, if this is what I want to do, what are some of the skills I need to achieve that? Who are the people I need to achieve that? Sometimes it's even about some places that you have worked. Okay, so if it is even part, you have to understand and know who are the employers I need to help me get to that level that I want to be in the next 5 years. So personally, I think that if you do not do that audit, if you don't have that goal and you don't do that audit, it will be very difficult for you to move out from the place that you're saying that you are stuck. Okay, because you are stuck, you need to find a solution, and the solution is what I have mentioned. You need to have the goal, and then you need to do your self audit to understand where you are, the things that you need to get you to where you want to be, because without that there's nothing you can do. Okay, so very important, your self audit, and then having a goal in mind. There was a time that I've worked with a number of people, right? So what they do is that they have an idea, but it is not too clear. They know that this is not who I want to be. This is not who I want to be in the next 1 year. But the problem has always been how they go about it. That is the problem. It's like your leg being stuck in a hole. Okay, as long as your leg is in that hole, you cannot take another step because your leg is stuck. You can't take another step. Now, what you have to do is to be able to get your leg out from that hole, and you can only do that if you find solution. Okay, so the solution is what I've mentioned. It's about your self audit and then having a plan or a goal in mind.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that response. I see my Bironke said something in the chat. She said, from the perspective of a former recruitment specialist, if you are on a job for more than 2 years and you have not added to your skills, you will begin to lose relevance even to your employer. Please always stay learning. It is your responsibility. Thank you so much. We could not have said it better. Always stay learning. It's very, very important. And then Annie says, hello, Annie. It's good to have you here. Thank you for always joining our show. Hello to you too. All right, let's keep going. If you've not reposted the event, do well to repost the event. We are halfway through. We'll be out in like 30 minutes. But I have one important question that I want to ask you. This is I think this is a critical question where sometimes people are always wondering, what is the place of technical skills and soft skills? How do they go hand in hand? Is one more important than the other? Are you good to go? If you have all the technical skills, should you be worried about other soft skills like communication, personal branding, and all the stuff? How do you balance it, and how does that impact your career and the progression you make in your career?
Okay, so I've been on so many events where I'm always asked this question. And what I tell them is what I'm going to say today. What I always say is that your technical skill will help you in your job, okay? But when it comes to the soft skills, it is what will help you sustain it. All right. So let me use this example. If you are an accountant, okay, your technical skill is what got you the accounting role. Now, when you enter the organization, it is your soft skills that will let your employer know that they didn't make a mistake with the hiring. All right, it's your soft skills that will draw people close to you. For example, some of the soft skills is communication, adaptability, and in fact, adaptability is very important because you we can all attest to the fact that the world we used to know growing up is not what we are experiencing now, right? We can go to bed this evening. By morning, there will be new things, okay? If you are not adaptable enough, you feel you would what will happen is that it's not about you failing. What will happen is you are going to be stuck, like nothing will be working for you because you are not able to adapt to the new ways of doing things, right? So if you are a top performer, you can be a top performer or any other employee. If you are not able to get these soft skills that are needed in the world of work or in your organization, right? Nobody would be able to work with you. Like I said, some of these soft skills is communication. You need to learn how to communicate with people because you are working with people, you are working in a human environment. And you cannot say that because I am an accountant, I'm fine. After the accounting, you are going to work with your boss, maybe you have some subordinate. Even it's not just about your subordinate or your boss, right? Even right from the entrance, there's security. Are you not going to have a conversation with them? Or do you have a problem with them? No. So it is some of these soft skills that will help you navigate properly in the field of work. So yeah, so the technical skills will help you get the job, but it is your soft skill that will sustain or maintain you in that job.
Okay, yeah, that's. I think that's the way I see it too. I believe that both of one should not be left for the other, right? It's good to be skilled in something technically, like you should be able to have technical skills in. I see that as competence in your job, competence in whatever role that you are holding, whatever job that you. If you're an accountant, you should be competent in understanding how to navigate the accounting books, whatever specialist, whatever area you are specializing in, you should the people someone should be able to tap you and wake you up in the night and you'll be able to solve those problems. But then all of these other skills that we are talking about, from communication to adaptability to personal branding, these are the things that would keep you long enough. In fact, most of the time, this is what help people to go from just being the person doing the job to becoming the supervisor to getting promoted, because you have the ability to lead. Leadership in itself is a soft skill to some extent, right? It's a skill that you learn from knowing how to coordinate people, knowing how to influence people, knowing how to get people to work together and things like that. So thank you so much for that answer. I see Annie said something in the chat. He said, we must be honest with ourselves about what we must learn and develop to become the person who does what we want to be. That is true. It's just, I think there is no, it's, as simple as this is, it's just that understanding that it's either you work on yourself to become the person you want to be, or you don't work on yourself and you stay stuck. There's really no middle ground. And it's just that I believe that most of the time, once we get that mindset, it is what differentiates those who stay complaining and those who actually make a difference in their life. Because are you always going to have limitations? Yes. There would always be something, there would always be a good reason for you not to do the things that you're supposed to do in order to move forward. I share that with my mentees all the time. I tell them, even to start Scholar Up, I had so many good reasons why I should not have done it. So many reasons that when I sit down and I tell you the reason, you tell me, yeah, it's a good reason. You should not have done it, right? But somehow, you are able to look beyond those limitations and believe that you're willing to work and improve. I don't have it all figured out today, but I'm just going to continue working at it. I'll continue building this thing, and gradually, I will look back and see how far I've come. That's the way I see it, that you don't get it all right the first day. And our career too is like that. That is just having that goal, as you mentioned, to say, this is where I want to be in the next 5 years. I'm not going to become that thing today, but I'm going to continue to incrementally contribute towards what gets me to that path. And that leads to my next question. These days, we hear a lot about the future of work. It sounds very abstract. The future of work, that's the thing. People are saying the work of 2023 is no longer, it's not even the work of 2025. So now you have to be thinking futuristic if you want to stay relevant. You cannot afford to fold your hands and say, oh, I got a degree. Oh, I graduated 3 years ago, so I'm good to go. What does that mean for someone who just hears it all the time and sometimes they don't really understand? What is that mindset that gets you ready for the future of work and that makes you ready for today's employment going forward?
Okay, so with the future of work, that's a very good question, but I want to also ask our audience, with future of work, I want to ask just one question. Are you employable? That is a question that you need to ask yourself. Are you employable? If we wake up, like I said earlier, what we used to know growing up is not what we are experiencing now. And what we are even experiencing today will be different from tomorrow. And because things are changing, or the um, world of work is evolving, it doesn't mean that we are going to just accept anything, or the world is ready to accept you for anything. Like, you didn't evolve as the world was evolving, and so you think that the world is ready to accept you if you are not able to you're not computer literate. Like, so the world should understand that Mary can't use, you know, it's not technologically, she doesn't know anything, so let's accept her like that. No, no, the world is not going to accept that. So if you ask me, what I would say is that when we say future of work, sit down and ask yourself if you're employable. If you're able to answer that question, it will help you understand that what we are experiencing now is different, and it will continue to change. And so ensure that you are evolving as the world of work evolves. I'm saying this because now, initially it was just 8 to 5, every day in the office and all that. But now we have hybrid. Now digital skills are all over. So our parents, okay, what is happening now? Our parents who didn't really have some sort of education, right? Education in quotes, to really learn some of these things is very difficult. I know one accountant where she can't even use a desktop. Okay, she always has to, we always need to get her somebody who will sit her down, press here, do this, do that, right? So I'm just bringing that in for people. I'm trying to paint that picture for you, and this is not a story, like, it's real thing, something that is happening. Okay, so I'm trying to let people understand that that is how the future of work is. Now it's all about digital skills, AI, all of these things. It is dependent on you, the individual, if you are ready, right? If we go to bed this evening and we wake up, and by the time we are awake, there's a new thing there. Are you ready to learn to make yourself employable? Because as for the future of work, whether you and I like it or not, it will continue to evolve. The question is, are you ready to evolve as it evolves? Are you ready to make yourself employable? These are some of the things that we need to think, and these are some of the questions that we need to answer for ourselves, and position ourselves properly. That's what I would say with that particular question.
I think you are absolutely correct. I think it requires a lot of introspection, and I like the way you're asking all of us. Really, are you employable? As simple as that question is, I think that's something that it should call for reflection. It should call for you to ask yourself, am I really employable per se? Would I employ myself? That's the way I ask myself. I said, if I'm the one looking for someone, would I am? And how do you stay relevant? I think that brings to my next question. You mentioned a couple of it. We're talking about AI. We're talking about automations now. This is our reality. Yeah, I like the analogy that you made where you say, oh, I don't know how to do this thing, so the world should accept me. And some people stay stuck like that. Oh, I don't know this thing. I don't know this. I don't know that. And you fail to understand that it is your responsibility to figure out the skills gap that you have as it is relevant to your own industry, and try not to overwhelm yourself. Because also there is that place of overwhelm where you feel like I have to learn. You cannot learn everything. You cannot be an expert of everything. Even the AI tools. Last week we had a coach, Bobby, and someone else, and we're talking about it. And he was telling us, I don't know, I can't even remember the number now. The number of tools that come out every year, every day, not even year, every day, maybe 50 more tools are out. The next day there's 50 more tools. Imagine how much you overwhelm yourself when you feel you have to learn everything, instead of actually figuring out what is the best way to streamline so that I'm learning what is relevant to me so I can actually move forward. So I really loved that answer of like introspection. And so I want to ask you now, as a HR professional, you started your role when AI was not a thing. I said just a couple of years ago, when I started PhD, AI was really not, it wasn't really like the big thing. I can't remember passing my essay through ChatGPT to help me do anything. Instead, it's like look for somebody to say, can you help me read? Can you help me review? That was the most AI we had at that time. And I'm not talking 10 years ago. I'm talking less than 4 years ago, right? So you have been in the corporate world, so you've seen this transition happen, literally, just as all of us are seeing the transition happen. The transition is happening with us in it. We are learning on the journey. How do you think professionals can position themselves to stay more relevant with all of these AI automations going on? How do they really make the best of it? And then that would lead into my next question of what role does personal branding play? I want you to kind of combine those two questions, because these days we talk about personal branding a lot. That didn't used to also be a thing. Personal branding didn't used to be something. I can't remember growing up, even up to when I was in the university, graduated, got a master's. Nobody told me anything about personal branding. Sometimes I wish somebody did, but nobody really did. It was not something that was a thing the way it has become a thing today. How does that come into career progression? How do people marry that in order to stay relevant?
Yes. So let me say something about the first question before I come to the personal branding. I hope I can still be heard. Amaka, please ask them if they can hear and see me as well. Okay.
If they
So
can't, they would have said something. I'm looking at the chat.
the role of AI, right? And how you can stay relevant. What I would say concerning that is, if you want to be relevant, do what the machines cannot do, do what the AI cannot do. Okay. And some of these things is what will bring, it will take us back to the our discussion earlier where we talked about the soft skills. Now, the AI is a machine, right? And this machine does not operate like the human. Even if it has to operate, is a human that would give it the prompt, is a human that would tell it what to do. Okay, I didn't want to say he or she because it's not a human. So it's a human that will give it a prompt. It's a human that would give it a command. Now, if you want to be relevant, you need to do what machines cannot do. A machine is not emotionally intelligent. A machine is not able to, when we say empathy, the machine does not know anything like that. I'm saying this because sometimes when you come to the workplace, okay, sometimes people deal with others and then there's no empathy in it. Sometimes you wonder, is that how you are in your house, or is because of work that's why you are doing that? Honestly, sometimes when people are stressed up, they do certain things. But all that I'm trying to say is that a machine is not something that we can say here it has some sort of emotional intelligence or some sort of empathy. And so if you want to be relevant in your work, these are some of the things that you need to pay critical attention to. And also leadership. If you want to be relevant, regardless of what you're doing or regardless of where you find yourself, you need to ensure that you are demonstrating some of the qualities of a leader. You do not have to be a leader before you demonstrate some of these things. I'm going to give an example. So last week, we were having a training session. It wasn't on site, so it was at a different place. And honestly, I was part of the participants, right? And what we were being trained on was something that I have an idea, but it's not something that is in my field. Okay, so it was sort of an eye opening for me as well. Now, the third day we were supposed to do some presentations and all that, but we weren't told the day before. We got in on the third day and they told us we need to have some presentations. Now, guess what? We were put in groups, and those in the groups are people who have done things like that before. So, ordinarily we would think that one of them would be the lead, and as we are done, the person would do the presentation on our behalf as a group. But guess what happened? They told me to be the group lead and also have the presentation. Honestly, like I said, it is not something that is in my field. So I told them, no, okay, I think I'm still learning. So they should go ahead. One person should lead and then do the presentation on our behalf. Lo and behold, nobody was willing to do it because they were like, I have to do it because of how I was talking about things. I seem to have much idea about it. And we went to have the presentation. It was 7 groups in total. We had the presentation and our group emerged first. Honestly, I don't know the things that I said, but I'm bringing that to let people understand that if they told me to do the presentation and I wasn't able to speak to issues, okay, I wasn't ready to do it and also speak to issues, nobody would clap for me or give me the applause that I got. All right, so if you want to be relevant, it all depends on you, the individual. At every point in time, if you are called upon, are you ready to deliver? If you are in the workspace and you are called upon to do something, are you ready to deliver? Because what you deliver is how people are going to perceive you, is how they are going to see you, right? So if you want to be relevant, these are some of the things that you need to look at. Now, when we talk about personal branding is something that would make you visible, right? It is something that would let people know that there is somebody called Mary, and this is what this is what she does. If you don't have a brand out there, and let me not even toe that tangent, if you have a personal brand, it speaks for you in rooms that you are not even there. It brings opportunities for you. Now, what organizations do is that when they are employing, they go on social media to look at some of the things that you do there. If you are building a brand, what you have there on the social media, that is what will speak for you. There are times that people go for interview and then they don't even ask them a lot of questions because they have read about them already, as per what they have built online. I mean, their personal brand. It will also bring us to for me to ask everybody on the call, everybody listening to us, that if you are building a personal brand for yourself, How are you building it? Everybody can just say, I'm building a brand, but there is a brand and there is a brand. You need to build a brand that will speak for you, not just any brand or anything that you do on social media. No, you need to build that brand where if we mention your name, you'll be so much confident that, okay, once my name is mentioned, I know it's bringing in good opportunities. But you don't build a brand where when your name is mentioned, you're already scared because you are thinking, why was my name mentioned? So personal brand is very important, but ensure that you are building that brand that will speak for you in rooms where you are not. So yeah, that's what I have to say about.
That is so that's such a brilliant contribution. Thank you very much, Mary. Yeah, and that's true. I like some of the points that you brought out, which is the point about leadership and not waiting until you become a leader before you lead. And that's the mistake I've seen so many people do, right? A lot of people do that mistake. And part of the work that I do within my community is empowering young people to lead, giving them the opportunity, lead a small team, be in charge of this, control this thing, learn how to build your confidence. Because most of the time, what makes people pull back is that lack of confidence. When you are called upon to deliver something, you say, oh, why me? I'm not good enough. Why me? Oh, people will make fun. People will make, and that is the perception. It's about building perception. I liked that word about being willing to step out even when you don't know it all. And you're like, well, if I make a mistake, I'm learning. That's okay. That's how you learn. That's how you build that momentum where when people start looking for people that solve important problems, they think about your name. I think the most important thing, and then you related that to personal branding, which is also important. It's like, it's not just that you're building a brand. I ask that question all the time. I think I made a post recently and I said, everybody wants to be visible, but visible doing what? People miss that part. People think it's just, I'm visible, people are seeing me, I'm posting. Like, what are you visible doing? What is the meaning? What is the purpose of your visibility? What difference is your showing up and making posts making in the lives of people? And if you cannot answer that in 1, 2, 3 sentences, you're just wasting your time. Like, you're doing something that does not benefit you in any way. So thank you so much for that insight. That's very, very insightful for us to take away these points to understand that a lot of the things, a lot of the progress you make in life, much of it is dependent on what you do or not do. It's dependent on you. Even though most times people let other people be in the driver's seat of their life, you feel like somebody else should drive, somebody else should determine how much progress I make. But ultimately, it's on you. It's just like PhD. People ask me, how did you finish your PhD in 3 years? I tell them, because I showed up and I did the work. I understood that it's my PhD. I understood that it is me that will determine when I graduate. But so many students stay stuck for years upon years because they are waiting for permission. They are waiting for the advisor to tell them, okay, now is the time to do this. Now is the time to do this. Instead of flipping the script and taking charge of to go like, what is the blueprint? Let's define a plan. This is my own plan. This is where I'm going. So thank you so much. I saw Annie made a very beautiful contribution. And he says he's getting himself ready for the future of work by being better and doing better work every day. It's about continuous development and continuous improvement in whatever you do. That is the absolute truth. I think that's just that mindset of continuous improvement. We have Michael who joined us. He said he's from Zambia. What time is it in Zambia? Thank you so much for joining. Yes, Annie, I'm grateful for the internet today. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then we have Dr. Isioma. She said she can hear us loud and clear. Where are you joining us from, Doctor? Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And Femi is here. Femi is someone in my cohort. Femi does PR strategy. So I was asking him, how do we do PR for our upcoming global conference? We have a conference coming. So Femi, thank you for being here. He said brilliant insights so far. If you have a question, we are wrapping up. We have less than 10 minutes to go. So if you have a question, put your question in the chat. I think I have just 1 or 2 more questions for our guests and we'll go. For me, you know me, I like time. I like to stay. I like to stick with time because time is money, right? Time is something you don't get back. Dr. Elizabeth says she loves your insights. You take on AI and your takes on AI and personal branding and spot on, and that's true. It's very, very important. And then she also added visibility has to be strategic and purposeful. We cannot say this enough. That is true. That is exactly true, Dr. Frank. Visible doing what? This is a very important question. You want to build a personal brand. Beautiful. Why do you want to do it? What are you visible doing? Those are questions that make or break. Those are the questions that determine if this is going to become a substance that people will look up to and say, oh, don't you know that person? And one thing that being visible does for you, if you're intentional about it, is building your skill. A lot of people have built the skill of public speaking through forums like this. I learned to host by hosting on LinkedIn. It's not a skill I had before, right? It's not like it was something I was doing before. But over time of bringing in guests and hosting, and you get better at it. You build more confidence. It becomes more natural. So now you're stacking up those skills. Tomorrow in your workplace, something comes up like, yeah, I know how to do it. Oh, yeah, I can moderate. Yeah, I've been doing that. So that's how you build up all of these skills. It's not magic. It's really not magic. It's just by showing up and doing the work and doing meaningful work. So this will bring us, I think, okay, we have a question. How do you build a brand centered around multiple niche? Oh yeah, this is a favorite question for me. But Mary, I'll let you have a go, and then you I can wrap up with whatever you say.
So, with this particular question, what I would say about it is, if you have multiple niches, the question you need to ask yourself is, who do I want to be known for? Know how to do, um,
You're breaking off.
you can know how to do a lot of things. It's good, right? But what do you want to be known for? That is a very good question you need to ask yourself. If you have an answer to that, then you start building your brand towards the name that you want to be called for, or the name that you want to answer to. Again, there's another way too. If you have a lot of talent, you know how to do so many things, it doesn't mean that you should drop all the others and concentrate on one. No, but you can start with one. If you get to answer that first question, which is whatever name that you want to be, you want to answer to. If you start that, then when as soon as that is, settled, or as soon as you start doing that, then the other niches or the other talent that you have, you can start building them also one after the other. So it's all about you knowing what you want to be known for. Then you start building the brand towards that angle. But like I said, do not drop all the other things that you can do and say that because I'm an HR, so I want to be known for doing ABCD. So I'm going to drop the other things that I can do, or the other things that I'm capable of doing. No, I'm not going to drop it. I'll do it because that is something that I have. But then again, it's about you knowing who you want to be known for. That's just what I have to say. Amaka, I know that's your favorite question.
Thank you, Mary. People ask me this all the time, right? I'm one of those creators on LinkedIn that defied the niche advice. Because when you come on LinkedIn, they say, oh, you must have one niche. It has to be one niche. If it's not one thing, people will get confused. I'm like, the people I want to be associated with are not people that are so shallow minded that they will get confused because I'm doing more than one thing. Because I don't know a human being in real life that does one thing. So people have that perception like, oh, it has to be one thing. If it's not one thing, people will get confused. And I say, no, it's about you clearly defining who you are. And I like the word that you use, what you want to be known for, or what is it that is your expertise, or what are you bringing to the table. I use Scholar Up as a typical example to tell people my background has nothing to do with people development in terms of education. My background has nothing to do with people. I got all my degrees, first degree, second degree, third degree. I've been going to school for a while, right? Bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, all of them in core sciences. I'm trained as a scientist. I have my PhD in horticulture, so I'm a scientist. So when you begin to look at being a scientist and the work I do at Scholar Up, you may not be able to find that relationship, but it is me that will tell you what the relationship is. It is me that defines my passion And then I begin to add my work to line up with that passion. So I use my different channels to showcase those gifts that I have, as you mentioned. What do I mean by that? When I write about agriculture, when I started writing about agriculture on LinkedIn, people say, oh no, people will not listen, people will not care. I have a newsletter that is dedicated to agriculture that is more than 30,000 subscribers. So more than 30,000 people subscribe to receive my newsletter every other week to talk about agriculture, because that is my field. That is the career I'm still employed in. And as long as I'm in that career, I want to maintain thought leadership. I want to be able to contribute to the conversation. I don't want to be far removed from it because I feel like, oh, let me chase personal branding and chase grad school mentoring and forget that I have a PhD in horticulture and I'm working as an ag tech specialist. So I make that very clear. So you see my newsletter is dedicated to my career path. So you can go to the newsletter section of my LinkedIn and you can see all my contributions. It's there as a track record, as someone who is contributing to this niche as a thought leader, right? Then coming to grad school strategies, that's where Scholar Hub started up. We were trying to help students come to grad school. And then I realized that having the qualifications is not enough. The fact that you have first class or the fact that you have all of these beautiful qualifications, if you don't have confidence, if you don't know communication, if you don't know personal branding, all of these things will be limiting you. And that was how our LinkedIn elevation was born. And somehow we are able to clearly define that this is what we do. So I think in building a niche, in building a niche that is a brand that is centered on multiple niche, you need to be able to have clarity. The key word is clarity. Because if you are not clear, then your audience would also be very confused. If me, I cannot tell you what I do in very few sentences, you'll be very, by now, Scholar of Mentoring Academy, you won't even know the meaning. But we are able to clearly define, to say, this is what we are doing. It's not one thing, right? It's really not one thing. We are working with people who are trying to get into grad school. We are working with busy professionals or entrepreneurs who are trying to build their personal brand. But we are able to say that in simple language to make it clear that this is what we are doing. When I do my morning shows on YouTube in the morning, every Saturday, it's for grad school, it's for those who are mentoring. That distinction is very clear. So I would say, define your multiple niche. Define it and pick the ones that make the most sense to you. And then you can now begin to build the brand around those things and find different channels that you can use to put out your message. Building a brand in its simplest form is about repetition. The way a brand becomes memorable is that you're able to repeat one thing so many times until it sticks in the mind of people. So it's not about being seen, it's about being remembered. It's the fact that I'm able to remember that Mary talks about HR. That's not the only thing she talks about. But when I'm curating my event and I'm looking for topics that are relevant to my audience, I'm also thinking in my head, who are those people in my network that I've seen consistently put out this message? And that is how I choose those people, right? It's not that they come and tell me to say, no, I see them talk about these things over and over. I see the value that they bring. Does it mean that Mary talks about HR every day? She doesn't. There are other things that she talks about, but she's able to kind of make it clear in my mind that even when she's not in the room, I can go and knock on her door and say, Mary, can you come and share some of your insights with my audience? So that is what it is. You need to have clarity. And then once you have that clarity, you need to give it enough time to build momentum. Marketing psychology will tell you that before somebody even buys anything from you, they have to have seen you 7 times. Like they have to have heard that message 7 different times. So it's all about being patient enough, taking the time to build self-awareness. Self-awareness is key. Because if you don't know yourself, you cannot sell to me something that is not clear to you. So clarity is key. It's very, very important. I hope that that answers you. And then I see Annie says, where do our African brothers and sisters fall down on basic qualities we need to stay relevant and become experts in their niche? Oh, okay, this is a question. So where do our African, this Mary, I'll let you have this question.
So can you read the question again?
So where do our African brothers and sisters fall short on the basic qualities we need to stay relevant and become experts in their niche? So where do they fall short?
Okay, so I think where they fall short is the idea that my qualification or my certificate is what will get me the job. Honestly, I always use myself as an example, right? Way back when I was in university, so many years ago, I'm not too old, but I'm old. When I was in the university, I always say that during those years, if I had somebody to tell me that you need to learn this, you need to open yourself up for opportunities, for internships, for all of these things, I know I wouldn't be here. Honestly, I know what I'm capable of doing, but unfortunately, we didn't have um people to speak to us in that angle, right? Those things were there, but it is not like it is available to the younger generations now. So I always use myself an example in terms of that. But where our African brothers, I mean our younger brothers and sisters, fall short is the fact that they still have that mentality that I'm in school, so because the person is doing business administration or doing accounting or doing marketing, it is all about these things, forgetting that when they finish and they have the certificate, it is not only the certificate that will keep them relevant. It is not only the certificate that will help them to do the job, right? So these are some of the mistakes that they do. Now, let's see ourselves as we are all in the market, like the world. We are all in the market. When you enter the market, okay, there are so many people selling the same thing. If you are going to buy tomatoes, there are a lot of people, I mean uncountable number of people, right, selling tomatoes. Why do you go to one particular person to buy that specific tomato? You go that because something about the tomatoes attracted you. Okay, maybe it's about how the person has arranged it, maybe it's about the environment, something. But by all means, something attracted you to buy that particular tomatoes. If we are bringing it to our lives, okay, if I'm a tomato, Dr. Amaka is tomato, between the two of us, why would somebody choose me over Dr. Amaka? And why would another person choose Dr. Amaka over me? It is something about us, unique, or something that differentiates the two of us. Now, to African brothers and sisters, there are a lot of people doing business administration, tens of thousands of them. There are tens of thousands of people doing accounting. If you do not want to be stuck, if you don't want to find yourself wanting, if you don't want to finish school and then be here and there saying, I'm not getting a job and all of that, open yourself up to learn. Open yourself up to learn other things. Don't dwell on only your certificate. No, it doesn't work like that anymore. Gone were those days where how many people go to university? Like personally, when I finished my senior high school, I had to be home for a number of years before I went to the university, right? So for somebody who didn't go to the university, those were the years where if you go to the university, like you are put in some sort of I don't want to say rank, but you are positioned in a certain way, because how many people go to university? How many people even get that opportunity? But now it is not like that anymore. Now a lot of people are doing their bachelor's degree, a lot of people are doing masters, a lot of people are doing PhD. So the question is, if you don't want to be stuck, what are you doing to improve yourself? Employers now want people who can help them solve problems, not people who will come and sit in the office space and be told that sit here, write this, do that. No, now they are willing to, they are looking for people who can just sit down and say that I think if we told this line, we are going to achieve A, B, C, D. They are looking for people who are willing to step out there and come up with brilliant ideas. They're looking for people that can help them solve problems. Okay, so your degree is not the only thing that is going to help you to be valuable. Your degree is not the only thing that is going to help you to solve that particular problem. So open yourself up to learn things that
Yes.
even learn today, we can go to bed. By tomorrow morning, there's another thing, right? There's another skill, there's another AI, there's another thing that we need to learn. In fact, let me use this quote by Alvin Toffler. He said that the 21st century illiterate is not the one who cannot read and write, right? But is the one who can learn, relearn, and unlearn. So you can be a university student, you can have a degree, you can have a master's, but you can be an illiterate because you have positioned yourself in a way that it is only the certificate that you have. If you want to be if you want to be illiterate, if you do not want to be stuck, if you want your employer to put you in a circle where he believes that you are capable of doing this, then you have to be ready. Open yourself up to learn, relearn, and unlearn. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was such a thorough answer, which is very important. It's very, very important. The sooner we understand that your personal development, your growth, your upskilling, your relevance, a good percentage of it, if not 100% of it, is dependent on you and the choices you make or not make. That is so, so true. And I like the quote about the 21st century illiterate, right? So you can have all the degrees and still be an illiterate and still not be relevant in anything. So having the willingness to learn broadly, maybe someday I will share my own story on just knowing how to do random things that has no business with all the degrees I have. Is literally what saved my own life when I was at that position where I really needed something to give. I'll leave the story at that. And one day I'm going to share the full story, right? That is just the ability to know how to do random things, content writing, leadership, video editing, things that have no business, no bearing with all these degrees I had, was something that saved me when I was in that position where I really needed a job at this time, right? I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Mary. I think we have a Florence's question. I'm going to just attempt to answer the question quickly so that we can wrap up. Our time is fast spent. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you for having these conversations. We continue to bring all of these learning spaces as a way. It's a learning for Mary, it's a learning for me, it's a learning for all of us. It's a way to remind ourselves continuously, to keep ourselves sharp, to keep ourselves going, to network. I always tell people, I say, when you come to events like this, the people you meet here are your kind of people. Those are the people you want to connect with. You want to get to know them because it means that they are interested in similar things like you. It's very important. So Florence says, I'm an introvert, very intelligent. Introverts are usually very intelligent, right? Usually find it hard to associate at work because you don't have the courage to express yourself or interact effectively. How do you improve? I'm going to give you a couple of advice. Maybe I'll let Mary give you some quick advice from her position as HR, and I'll give you a couple of advice myself, and we'll close on that note.
Okay, so somebody who's an introvert, honestly, the introvert are extrovert, but there are so many ways in which you can handle that. Okay, if you're an introvert, you need to, like I said, we are in the workspace. Okay, you are working with people, so one way or the other you need to have conversations with people. You are working with them, you can't say that it always has to be via email, please find attached, please find attached, but you you need to have a conversation with them. You need to learn how to communicate your worth. If you do a particular job or you do a particular work, you need to learn how to communicate it. If you say that you're an introvert, so you can't talk about it, people will talk for you, and trust me, you won't like what they will say. And even if you will like it, it is not to an extent where if you were speaking for yourself, you could have done it. All right. So my advice to her is that you need to start. It is, I will still bring it back to the learning and relearning and unlearning. It is a mindset that you have. So you need to start to learn how to communicate everything that you do. Introverts, what they do is that they always do not want to talk in places like public places where there are a lot of people. So you can start from one person. If it's me that you think that you can have that conversation with in the workplace, then you start. Like Dr. Amaka was saying, we all didn't know how to talk in public like what we are doing now, but we started, right? When I was in school, I was one of those students who is always quiet. But when it comes to questions, I will ask. As for that, you can go to my lectures. Even today, my lecturers still remember me because for the question I'll ask. But after that, I am done. You won't see me talking here and there. But everything that you do, it's not like you already knew it. But if you really, really want to learn, that you need to start from somewhere. All right. So that's the advice that I'll give to you on that.
All right. Thank you so much for that practical advice. Florence, what I'm going to add to that is I am not saying that introvert, extrovert is not a thing, right? But what I always challenge people with is whatever label we give ourselves, we gave ourselves, right? You know, if you say I'm Cancer, I'm Sagittarius, I'm this, I'm that, I'm introvert, I'm extrovert, you gave yourself that label and you've stayed with it. And sometimes the labels you've given yourself becomes a limitation to you, right? Instead of you flipping the script and looking for the strength within yourself. Some of the strength introverts have is that they can listen well. Because they don't talk a lot, they tend to listen deeply. They have active listening. That is something you can use to your advantage. And like Mary said, in the workplace, you cannot afford to be in the background. People will take credit for your work, unfortunately. You will do something, you'll be the one who brought an initiative. But because you're not willing to voice it out, you remain stuck, and people who are less qualified than you will continue to be promoted. It's an unfair world. It is the way it is. Like you being an introvert or being an extrovert will not change it. Except you decide to say, this thing is no longer serving me. You see this title I've given myself. It's no longer serving me. Oh. It's time for me to wash it, dry it, and hang it somewhere and begin to learn the practical and simple steps of how I can begin to communicate my value. And a good way to do that, let me tell you, a way to break your introversy, if that's a word, or a good way to come out of that is learn how to build your personal brand. When you learn how to actively be on LinkedIn, for example, you use that as an opportunity to learn some skills. You learn how to begin to interact, learn how to express your thoughts. When people comment back to you, you are responding to the comment. It's a start of the journey. It's really, really a start. The most important thing, what gets you from point A to point B is intentionality. It's like understanding that this thing that I'm doing is not serving me again. Oh. And if I do it for the next 10 years again, it will still not serve me. You see, it's like a self-conscious awareness that is going to be uncomfortable. You're talking about what you need is not confidence. What you need is courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's just, I'm going to do it anyway. Most of the time, people tell me that I'm so confident. They say, oh, you are so confident. I'm like, you don't know that half the things I do it afraid. Half of the things you see me doing, like I'm literally with shaking hands, but I'm going to do it anyway because I realize that even if I fail, it's okay. It's better for me to fail than not to try. So even if I fail on the journey, I would have learned something from it. So if an idea comes to my mind, I'm going to bring it to life. I'm going to push through that fear. It's just understanding that you are in charge. I cannot just relax and say, oh, I'm an introvert, and then you stay like that. So that's not going to help you. And I see my Bironke has given you a very practical advice here. I don't know if you saw this. She said, try to get this book, Brag, The Art of Tooting Your Horn by Peggy Klaus. It's good for introverts who need to get out of there. Like you need to, I like it, my Bironke is my person. I like the word she said, you need to get out of there because you are staying somewhere that is not serving you. That's just the point I'm trying to make. That mindset to understand that this title that I've given myself, this label that I've given myself, is not serving me. It's keeping me stuck year to year. Oh, I say I'm afraid. The people I know much better than I'm making progress. So it's high time for you to begin to learn. Join learning communities. Scholar Up is a place for you. My Biranke put this on the chat. She said, in case you are just joining us, visit our website, find the Ascension Conference, come and volunteer. Come and learn to work with people. Like start small. Find those opportunities where it is less pressure. Find low pressure situations That's going to help you. So it's all about like figuring out, how can I start? Starting by, you're posting content on LinkedIn, you're joining communities, you're joining elevation program, you're learning to work in small groups. So it's all about the intentionality, because the first step is acceptance. Like, you've reached this point to say, this thing I'm doing is not serving me. Now we are telling you the practical steps. All of the people you admire who are doing things you consider great, most of the time they do it with fear in their heart, but they just do it. And by the time they come, you feel like, oh wow, this person. No, it's that effort that you put in gradually, you get better at it. So thank you so much for coming to our event. I hope you stick around. I hope you come back again. I hope you go to our conference website, and you can, just find how you can get connected. Find how you can start from somewhere. So we are wrapping up now. We are really gone past the time, but the conversation became so interesting, and I didn't want to ignore people's question. I always feel like when people come here, they should get practical value that they can take with them, that will make a difference, at least for today. You can take something from here that you put into practice today, and you will get some progress. So as we wrap up, Mary, can you let us know how people can connect with you when people want to reach out to you? What's your final word, your final advice as we wrap up the conversation? And he said, it's not about being seen, it's about being remembered. And he always like hyping me up. Thank you, Annie. I appreciate it. And then Mohammed says, no skill is wasted. That is true. I think Mary's network is finally doing the African thing. It's throwing her in and out. So I was hoping she could give us some final words before we go. Yes, Florence, you're welcome. I hope you would connect. I hope you would keep coming back. You will keep learning, and then you would actually implement. Because learning does not help you except you put it into practice, right? It's only when you take the things you learn, you put it into practice. And then he says we must think differently and use our knowledge to do great things, or do little things in a great way. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Annie, for your contribution. Thank you for keeping the chat very, very, very active. And then Annie saying thank you to you. She said you shared a lot of truths. Mary, can you hear me? I think your network is finally deciding to act up. We are about to close. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. All right. I said final words. How can people reach out to you? Final advice so that we can go.
Okay, so I don't know why my picture is not moving, but that's
we can hear you. Just talk.
So my final advice is to everybody listening to us this evening: you see that your comfort zone is a trap. You need to move. Do not stay there. You will think that that's the safest place to be. Yes, it is indeed safe, but that safety is leading you to danger, right? So out of your comfort zone. Don't think that because I already have this job, because I already have this certificate, because I'm doing ABCD, I am fine. Don't be fine. The thing that you think that you are fine is leading you to danger. Okay, so have that mindset to move out of the comfort zone. Again, ensure that you are learning adaptability. Be adaptable. Like, now, I would say it again. The world is changing, will continue to change. We can go to it, but you are individual. Are you ready to adapt to the new conditions that are going to come tomorrow? Are you ready to adapt to the new condition we are going to experience this evening? So be ready and be willing to adapt. That is what I'll leave to our listeners this evening. But if you want to reach out to me, please connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's the shortest place you can find me, right? So you can send me a link. I have my well, or you can I have my Calendly link as well, so you can book a call with me. Thank you so much, Dr. Amaka, for the invitation.
Thank you so much, my dear namesake Mary. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, despite the challenging network. We're able to really get a lot out of this session, right? And I hope that as you sat down and you listened to us, it's going to give you time for reflection. That's what I always tell people. I said, don't just keep learning. Don't add a lot of knowledge to yourself that you don't use to do anything. If you come to a gathering like this, you've been here 1 hour, 1 hour, 20 minutes, take one thing, take two things and put it into practice today. That is my own secret sauce, which is such an open secret. I tell people all the time, you see me always saying, I completed this course, I did this thing, I did. From that thing, I will learn one thing, and today, I will implement it. I won't even wait till tomorrow. I will implement it today. If it works, I will see that it worked. If it didn't work, I would have learned from it. So just be willing to stay adaptable, stay learning, understand that things will continue to change. And for you to stay relevant, you have to have the willingness to change with the times. And as we all know, visibility now is a currency. And it's always important to figure out, what am I visible doing? So I encourage you, if you've not been part of our LinkedIn Elevation program, you may want to take advantage of the next cohort. You may want to take advantage to ask, what does it even mean to truly elevate your professional presence, so that your online presence is going to speak for you, even when you are not there. That's what we are building. That you begin to build a name for yourself, that your name will begin to open doors in rooms that you don't have access to. So I thank you all for staying with us, even though we went beyond the time, but I didn't want to leave the questions unanswered. So thank you for staying here. Florence says, thank you. Mohammed says, this is great. Peter says he's happy to be here. He says, great to be here. Thank you all for staying to the end. I'm going to close now by sharing our video. Thank you all.
Success begins with the right guidance and opportunities. And at Scholar Up Mentoring Academy, we are here to help you unlock your full potential. Whether you're preparing for graduate school applications or building a standout professional presence on LinkedIn, we provide the tools and support you need to thrive. Our programs are designed to help you craft a compelling personal brand, position yourself for global opportunities, and achieve your dreams. Led by Dr. Amaka Ifaduba, a dedicated mentor and coach, Scholar Up empowers you with personalized mentoring, actionable resources, and proven strategies to take bold steps toward a brighter future. Scholar Up Mentoring Academy is more than a program. It's a community dedicated to helping you succeed. Take the first step today and discover how we can guide you on your journey to greatness. Follow our page for updates and access all our resources at linktree.com/scholarupacademy. Your success story starts here.
Okay, thank you everyone. Enjoy yourself. See you again next week. God bless you.